of Adventist Students Congress 2020 and to the third day of our seminars. Yesterday, we were privileged to have Dr. Mrs. Theresa Ademununkum speaking to us on the topic unearthing our potentials and professionalism. By God's grace, for today's seminar, we have with us the man of God, Dr. Josiah B. Ando, who will take us through the seasons of relationship. After he has spoken, we would have an interactive session where viewers can send in their questions and contributions to the number 055-968-0066, 055-968-0066. I believe you'll be blessed at the end of the session. I'm Lydia Kwe, your host. God bless you.
Thank you very much for joining me, and good afternoon to you all, my dear participants, for this very important GNAAS Congress. It is virtual, but we want to make it as real as possible. I believe you have so far enjoyed the seminars as they have gone on, and this one is going to be another sweet one for you. It's seasons of relationships, seasons of relationships. I want to base this presentation on the key text, Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 to 27. Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 to 27. Now, in that text, this is what we read. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man, highlight wise man, who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. We continue, but everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Now, the key message here is simple, that the wise build on strong foundations. If you are a wise man, you will build on a strong foundation. Let me give you some statistics to begin with. There were about 4,080 divorces between in 2019 alone. Now, this brings us to an average of about 10% of divorce cases in marriage. What it means is that if 100 people should get married, about 10 of them are likely to get a divorce here in Ghana. And this has to do with those who go to register their marriage in court and then they get a divorce in court. The implication is that the rate of divorce keeps increasing, because when you look at the rate as it was in 2006 and you look at how it is today, it is clear that the cases keep increasing. Now, those who do not go for a divorce, it doesn't mean they are happy in their relationships. The implication is that there are many today who are fighting bad marriages. There are many today who are just holding on because of the children, because of this, because of that. There are many who are suffering in silence. A lot of men get beaten in their homes by their wives, and a lot of women get beaten in their homes by their husbands. And so when we look at all these, it is clear that all is not well in marriages. After several years of doing counseling of relationships and marriages, there is one thing that I have observed. A lot of people are wishing for a second chance. There is always that wish. And one major reason why people are wishing for a second chance is that they did not build their marriages on a solid foundation. And that is why today we are talking about seasons of relationships. Now, the point is simple. Seasons of relationship actually, is a preparation for seasons of marriage. You know, just like the seasons that we have. One season gives way to another, prepares way for another. And that is how it should be. So your relationship is like a preparation ground for your marriage. And I want to base on the fact that if you are a wise builder, remember I read Matthew, if you are a wise builder, you will use a healthy relationship as a solid foundation for your marriage. And so what we want to say, you know, the theme for this year's Congress is As For Me. And so you can give this presentation or this seminar a subtitle, As For Me, I Will Be a Wise Builder. And of course, we are builders for Christ. So to be a wise builder, what are the things that you need to do? I have put together certain points, and I want us to apply what we just read, okay, in the book of Matthew. This is how it would read. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man, in this case, a wise builder, who built his house, who built his marriage on the rock. And if you like, you call it a solid foundation. Verse 25, and the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew and beat on that house. All the factors that cause unhappy marriages, those factors are there. Whether you built a strong foundation for your marriage or not, those factors that cause unhappy marriages are there in this 21st century. All of these would happen to your marriage, and it did not fall. So if you are a wise person, your marriage will not fall, for it was founded on the rock. So I am sharing with you certain 7 principles that you need for your relationship. Number 1 is that you should be able to build your self-worth. Build your self-worth. This is so important because, you see, self-worth is what keeps you. That it is actually what makes you you. In other words, you should know yourself. Who are you? Son of God, daughter of God, a very important person. You don't need a relationship to feel important. You don't need someone to love you to feel love. So you need to build your self-worth. Love yourself. Empower yourself. Encourage yourself. Tell yourself that you are also important. You are somebody. Value yourself. Respect yourself. Some of us dwell on our past mistakes. And then, because of the past mistake you made, you are unable to have a very good, positive image of yourself. The fact that you have a baby already does not mean you should settle for any man who comes your way to toy with you. The fact that in the past you had certain issues does not mean, it doesn't reduce your value. No matter what, you should still have confidence in yourself. Especially you being a student. It is only a few people who get a chance to get to higher levels of education. So you should remember that no matter how you look, no matter how you appear, no matter the size of your pocket, you are important and you are a very, very treasured person. Have confidence in yourself. This is very, very important. Now, if you are able to do this, then you are laying a good foundation for a relationship. Many of us go into relationships when we do not even value ourselves. And so we just take any type of, treatment from anybody. That should not be your case. Number 2, outline your principles. This is also very, very important. Now, everybody has principles. Unfortunately, there are a number of us who are unable to really know that this is me, this is what I want, this is what I stand for. So ask yourselves the question, what do you stand for? What are your life principles? What values do you hold dear? Truth, honesty, sincerity. These are the values that you hold. These are things that you would not compromise on. And what kind of partner do you want? What do you look out for in a partner? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What can you accept and what can you not accept no matter what? Can you accept a young man who lies once in a while, for example? Or can you accept a lady who dresses anyhow, for example? Now, these are principles that you need to have yourself. If you have these principles, you hold to them. And then you tell yourself that this is me. But let me sound a note of caution. You see, your principles should not be a list of the ideal man that you want or a list of the ideal woman that you want. They are principles that you hold dear. In other words, if you tell me you like someone who is God-fearing, then you should be God-fearing as well. You don't say, oh, as for me, I don't like a man who will cheat on me. And then, meanwhile, you are having 4 guys. And you are sleeping with 2 of them. The other 2, they are crife, so you don't sleep with them. You need to have your principles. Know that this is what I stand for. I hate lies. I hate indecent dressing. I can't accept this. But this, there are some character traits that you can accept. So you tell yourself that this I can accept, even though it is not comfortable, but I can accept. But as for this, I cannot accept. Once you have those principles, you can proceed to build your relationship on them. And then you'll be having a stronger foundation. Number 3, build on friendship. Now, this is something that most of us always escape. We don't build our relationship on friendship. We build it on the passion, on the emotion. Now, let me just explain something small. When I say build on friendship, this is what I mean. When we are talking about love, there are about 3 components. The kind of love that you have in a relationship leading to marriage. There is the emotional part, the feelings, the passion. That aspect of the love that makes you miss somebody. That aspect of the love that, makes you, sometimes when you even hear his voice, when your phone is ringing and it is him, the way your heart moves, the feelings, they are there. They are natural. They happen in every love, every love relationship. They happen, especially at the very beginning of the relationship. But there is also the mental part. In other words, you don't love with only your heart. You also love with your brain. You think, so you should be able to decide, to make a decision. And then there is the social part, which has to do with your friendship, the interactions that you have with the person. All these go together to constitute love. Now, one thing you need to notice that the emotional part, you can't rely on your emotions because emotions are precarious. They are on and off like traffic light. So it is not always that you have that passion for him, that passion for her. There are times that you will just not be feeling anything, but it doesn't mean you don't love him. So you don't rely on that one. And sometimes these emotions can affect the mental part. You can change your mind because of something that the person is doing that make you feel uncomfortable. So what you should focus on is building the social part of your love. That is the friendship. Because your friendship would keep you going when the passion fades and you are tempted to change your mind. The friendship would, as it were, hold you together, the kind of social contact relationship that you have. And when your relationship gets into marriage, you will still need this friendship. So if you build your relationship with somebody you can call a friend, Somebody that you can be yourself, okay? Not the type of person that when he's around you, you can't even cough. You just can't be yourself. The person is not your friend. But if you go enter a relationship with someone who is your friend, the emotions will be there, and then you can actually decide that this is the person I want. So the friendship is very, very important. But you see, when you are choosing your friends, you choose your friends based on the principles that I've mentioned already. So that you are choosing a friend because the person shares your principles, your religious principles, your principles on honesty, your principles on being late or being early for events and all that. If you build on friendship, you'll be able to build the relationship better. Number 4, have an understanding of love. Many of us go into relationships and we do not understand what it means to love. And you know, when we talk about marriage or we are talking about marriage, the basis of it is love. So love is the basis of it all. So what is love? Let me start by telling you what love is not. And it's a mistake many of us make. Love is not a feeling. Love is not unreasonable. You know, some people think that, oh, because I love him, because I love her, I can't even think about this issue. You love him so much that the two of you are carriers of sickle cell. Yet you are being unreasonable because you love. That is not how love is. Love is not blind. Love can see. You should be able to see that this is how he is. This is how she is. Often we say love is blind, but love is not blind. Love is not deaf. Love can hear. So you can listen to advice when you are in love. When you are in love, it doesn't mean you have become mad or you have become unreasonable. Love does not make its choice an idol. Sometimes the way you take Kwesi, oh, as for Kwesi, oh, the way I love him, and then no, love does not do that. Love is supposed to be more productive and not destructive. Love looks beyond the externals. You don't love him because he's thick tall, even though you like him being thick tall. But that is not the reason why you should love him. Because love should look beyond the externals. You don't love her because of her hips, because of her breast, because of the dimple, the hair. Those are all externals, and the person can lose them anytime. So when it is love, it is a real and abiding devotion. It is a decision that you are taking based on your principles that this person, I want him, this person, I want her, and I want him, I want her because he's like this, she's like that. We complement each other. We like each other the way we are. Our friendship makes it a beautiful relationship, and that is how love should be. It is not the unreasonable way of thinking, not even thinking at all, because I have had a lot of people telling me, Doc, you see, I've met a guy, and the way he is, he's so good and all that, but the moment but comes, you know that there's something coming. And then the thing that is coming is that either but health-wise, we are not compatible, religion-wise, we are not compatible. And my question is, okay, so if you love him, then you should be able to leave him. Because you love him so much that you will not want to go and be disturbing him in marriage with your Sabbath issues when he doesn't believe in your Sabbath. And that is how love should be. So love should be reasonable. Love is not unreasonable. So if you have this fair understanding of love, and you know that it is not the feeling, it's not the emotion, because sometimes you feel that because, you feel strong emotion for the person, it is love. Sometimes it is infatuation. Especially when it has to do with the external appearance, when it has to do with the money, when it has to do with the passion, it is not love. Love does not behave that way. So the fourth point I gave you is that you should have an understanding of love. Then you can very well prepare for marriage. Number 5, do a thorough background check. A thorough background check. This is also very, very important. It is something that a lot of people ignore. Background checks. How much do you know the guy you are going in for? How much do you know her? Do you know the person's religious convictions, for example? Do you know the person's health status? Do you know the person's sexual orientation? Now, there are people, let me tell you, there are people who get married and they didn't know that their man was one who was bisexual. Bisexual, he does men and he does women. And so now that he's married, he wants to approach the wife from the back door. And I'm talking about anal sex. And these are church folks. So you should do a background check. This does not mean you should go and try. Do a background check. Get to know the person's religious convictions. What does the person believe in? What are the person's beliefs on X, Y, Z? And you see, I am not talking about church. I am talking about faith. Because there are people in your church who do not believe things that you believe. So you need to know the person's religious convictions, know the person's health status. Is the person a carrier of the sickle cell? Is the person healthy enough when the two of you move together? How about your blood group? How about rhesus factor, genotype? You need those things. If you know these things and you build a relationship based on these background issues that you are comfortable with, you can build into a good marriage. Family, friends. There are some of you who have relationships and you can't count the number of friends that your girlfriend has or your boyfriend has. Career and occupation. Where is the person going to? He is studying music. Is he going to pursue music as a career? Is she going to be a nurse? Is he going to be a soldier? What are the person's career aspirations? What is the person aiming at? Do you think that what a person is aiming at would be in line with what you are also aiming at? For example, you are thinking of establishing a big processing factory here in Ghana, and this is where you want to live your life. And the guy you are going out with, you want to marry, he wants to go and settle in the US. How would the two of you properly marry? So you need these things. You need to know the person's favorites and some personal details. Personal details that you may want to consider. The person's mental development. What's the person's educational level? What's the person's thinking and decision-making process? What are the person's values on time, honesty, money, truth? These are all part of the personal details on the person's mental development that you need to look at. Social details. How does the person behave and relate with you in public? How do your friends think and relate with the person? Are there any reservations so long as your family and friends are concerned? Then you should also look at certain physical details. How does the person keep his body or her body? Are you comfortable with it? How does he keep a good oral hygiene, for example? How about health? How about certain peculiar habits? Is this someone who picks their nose in public? These are things that you need to look out for. And of course, the spiritual, details of the person. What are the person's spiritual values? What are yours? And what faith do you share with each other? Do you have any differences? Do you plan to reconcile these differences, or you plan to live with these differences? Do you plan to do any counseling or whatever? These are details that you need in your background. So at the end of the day, you know the person very well, so you don't get married to a stranger. Number 6, you should have an understanding of dating and courtship. You should have an understanding of dating and courtship. A lot of us get confused and we make mistakes along the line. Dating, when we say dating, let me spend me a few moments to just do this. When we talk about dating, we are talking about the activity of going on a date. In other words, when we said we were meeting on this platform, on Hope Channel, on YouTube, on Facebook Live, we're meeting, it was a date that we had. It's a date that we have that we are going to meet for this seminar at this time. That is a date. So when we talk about dating, we are talking about the activity of going on a date. So if I agree with you that I would meet you at so place, at so time, it is a date. The reason behind our meeting can either be personal, it can be social, it can be business, it can be a romantic reason. And so we can have other types of dates. All right. But then, in the process of dating, meeting regularly for studies, for church, for this, for that, we come to like each other. And then I make a proposal, or you make a proposal. When the proposal comes, the relationship is a courtship relationship because the proposal is for marriage. So you propose that, okay, the friendship has grown to a point and I want to think of marriage. Then you are still dating, because even after you begin courtship, after you begin preparing for marriage, you still meet. So you still date. And that is why sometimes people use the terms dating and courtship interchangeably. Because we still, in courtship, you still go on dates. So you are still dating. But when we talk about courtship, if we say the two of you have started a relationship, we are talking about the fact that there has been a proposal, there has been an acceptance, either implied or said. And that between the two of you, there is an understanding that you are going to get married. And that is it. So, because of this misunderstanding, people don't understand these differences. There are a lot of mistakes. And so, certain precautions you need to take. You don't jump the steps. You don't meet somebody and within the next week, the next 2 weeks, you are already in a relationship. You are already having sex. You're already doing things that you should not be doing. Don't become friends with personal gains in mind. Don't become friends because of attraction at first sight. Don't entertain certain detailed, touchy situations or sex in the dating process because you are only meeting as friends. Don't pretend to be who you are not, because it is at this point that you get to know each other. It's at this point that you get to be real. Because there's really nothing in it. And of course, don't forget, don't leave God out. Now, like I earlier mentioned, when we talk about courtship, it's people are in relationships, you ask them how long? 2 years. And then you ask certain basic questions and they do not know. Certain basic questions about a person. For example, you've been together for 2 years. Have you ever seen him angry before? You've been together for 2 years. Have you ever seen her distraught, sad? How does she handle sadness? How does he handle disappointment? How does he behave when he's extremely happy? You need to know the person very well. Otherwise, you will get married and then you'll be like, I married you and I didn't know you. It will be like you married a stranger. Don't let that one happen to you. The last point I will share with you, number 7, you should have an understanding of marriage. You should be able to understand exactly what marriage means. Because when we are talking about seasons of relationships, like I mentioned, it is preparation for marriage. So if you are building a foundation, you should know the building that you are coming to put on the foundation. So you should understand what marriage means. Marriage is more binding and more bonding than we see it these days. The biblical foundation for marriage is actually Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. Genesis 1, God created heaven and earth, everything, and then he created humans. And then in the creation of humans in Genesis 2, we see the details. After creating the man, God says, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper And then this helper would be with him. But God did not create a different human being. What God did was that he picked a rib from the same man and made it. In other words, the two are one. And that is why normally when we are talking about marriage, we say the two shall be one. So there is a principle of permanence. So if you understand marriage, you know that when you are going into it, it is permanent. There is no turning back. You also know that when you go into it, there is oneness. You and your husband, you and your wife are one and the same person. And so you would know how to handle it. Now, if you go into relationship with this mindset, with this idea, you would handle your marriage well. You would do things well. And that is what I have meant by you should be a wise builder. In other words, you should be able to use a healthy relationship as a solid foundation for marriage. As for me, I will be a wise builder. And that is what I've been speaking to you on. And I believe that you would be a wise builder. You would ensure that your relationship is strong and that your relationships are built on these very important principles. And your marriage will get better. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Yes. So as for me, I'll be a wise builder. Pastor, thank you for those sweet words and for the educative lecture on relationships. So viewers, the interactive session will begin shortly, and we would be able to send in our questions and contributions through the number 0559-680066. 0559-680066. But before that, we'll go on a short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Yes, a Hope Channel encore. I am your papa door now. The veteran COVID-19 for Yamela. And your mouth for Yato hair or corner to collar. Ke Hope Channel, a hope of hallelujah. Kafu na petola penko. Esiata, nye de dodo to hair than be me a jogger to hair. I could put a Hope Channel for door. In the case, he came here, China. I guess Frank Banto. Esiata, wodo dodo to hair the lany. Be me a quack jogger. Lay a balaji, I could put a Hope TV for door. Nay, Adela, now Hope TV, Nanoani, aye, Nasanu, aye, not jogger like Bamagbaji, I could put a Hope Channel for door. Minamia put a Hope Channel, both for door, na yuji, Mana Yami Akata, Hope Channel, Nanoani Tebe, Mana Yami, Akwe.
We are so happy that God is still with us in this pandemic. And we know because of the help of Hope Channel, most of us, we are now worshiping in grand style. This Hope Channel is not for us, it is for God. We are doing it for God so that we can raise a lot of people for the kingdom of heaven. And so all of us, we need to come together and then support it. So that is why coming 1st August, we are all coming together to raise funds. And we know baby amu biara. That 1st August, no, umaye nyisika bafu. Na yemfamwa Hope Channel. And say Ewrade mane nye kwada. It's a 1 hour te wani mano. Ewrade shira wo. Ewrade nyetnya ye na bra. It's a nyame shira mo. We mu obi Ewrade shira mo. Mo hwe mo honhom so.
Hope Channel, changing lives.
Welcome back, lovely viewers. This is the interactive session of our seminar for this afternoon. For those who just tuned in, we want to welcome you again to the 38th Ghana National Association of Adventist Students Congress 2020, and today's interactive session with the topic Seasons of Relationships. And we have, again, Pastor Josiah B. Ando here with us to take us through the interactive session. So, Pastor, welcome once again.
Thank you.
Before that, I want to put the number out. The number is still 0559 680066. 0559 680066. You can send in your questions and your contributions. Pastor, welcome once again.
All right, thank you.
So, as we wait on our viewers to bring their questions, I want to ask, you spoke about having principles in relationships, but then how flexible should your principles be?
Okay, thank you. This is a very important question. Flexibility in the principle. The principle should not be a straight-jacketed something. I want someone who has a mustache, and so when assuming I meet all the qualities and I don't have a mustache, you say, no, he doesn't qualify. It shouldn't be that way. The principles are your own principles. These are things that you stand for. Now, if you find someone who falls within them, but falls short of some of them, the question you should ask yourself is, okay, the person falls short of X. Is this something I can accept and embrace? If the answer is yes, go ahead. But if the answer is no, then it means that that principle has a high level of, you have a high level of intolerance for lack of that principle. Let me give an example. So I have a number of principles, and one of them is that I don't like someone who lies. And then this is someone I meet who meets everything. But maybe we are moving and I'm to meet her somewhere, and then I call and she tells me she's in a Medina-bound trotro. And then I hear, yeah, circle, circle, circle. In other words, maybe she's lying. And then I get to know that she lied. The question is, to what extent am I able to accept that? Well, it is a small lie. If it's difficult for me to accept it, then it means that that principle I have on truth-telling is so high for me that there's no way I can. I don't want to use the word compromise, because it shouldn't be about compromise. It should be about accept. So it should be something that I can accept. I don't know if I answered it well enough. All right.
Pastor, I want to add another question to that. Can physical features of a person be part of your principles? Can it be a principle?
Yes and no.
Okay.
You don't marry someone who is ugly in your eyes. Pardon my use of the word ugly, but if you are not nice in my eyes, you will not attract me. Okay. But the fact that the person is not nice in my eyes doesn't mean she won't be nice in the eyes of another person. So yes, first of all, we get attracted to people who are nice, who have features that we like. But it is not all, it is not the feature. You don't go to the person because of that feature. Because that feature cannot stand the test of time. The features fade along the line. If I marry someone because she has a smooth face, she is going to have a wrinkled face one of these days. If I marry someone because she has a flat tummy, she will give birth to my children. And it may lead to a big tummy. If I marry someone because her boobs are standing, me and my children will suck it and it would become like socks one of these days. So when you don't marry someone because of physical features, but you look at physical features to get close to the person enough to know the person, that he has or he or she has features that you like.
Right. Thanks, Pastor. There's a contribution from Bridget Teria from Takoradi. She says, thanks, Dr. Ando, for such an enlightenment. We should learn and build on healthy relationships. Thank you, Bridget. There's another one from Daniel Say Amankwa, NAS UEW. He says, good afternoon, Dr. Josiah, and God bless you for your relationship gists. I really love the points in your submission where you emphasized on the need to blend the physical, emotional with mind, intellectual. This problem sadly accounts for the failures of many relationships in contemporary times. Please, how long should one date, or should one date before considering marriage?
Okay, I mean, dating, I know the term dating, I think I explained, I did something. Dating is not timed. In fact, we date all the time. I mean, let me say it this way. Since you were born, you've been dating. I mean, you have a time to attend class, to go to school, to do this. They are all dates. But talking about, okay, meeting someone, a friend, we are going for a beach party, we are going for lectures, we are attending BLS, they are all dates. But when the date becomes special, when it has to do with me meeting with Lydia, and we meet frequently, we are friends. No one has said anything, no one has intended anything, we are friends. It can be forever. So in other words, I can continue to be your friend forever without anything happening between us, and we will still meet regularly. But then, the moment it gets to a point where it is just one person who is so special to you, then proposal is coming. Then we start thinking of a relationship. The moment that happens. Now, by the way, before that happens, you already know the person well enough. The moment that happens, you are now moving from just being single to being in a position where you are preparing for marriage. And that period is what I believe he's asking about. I begin a relationship with Ajua. Between now that I started the relationship, to what extent should it go? Should it be 6 months? Should it be 2 weeks? And it varies. My counsel has always been that don't, make sure you know the person for at least every month of the year. Reason is that, you see, sometimes even weather and, the environment can impact people's behavior. Let me give an example. There are some people who don't bath in Harmattan. So if you, assuming you met the person after Harmattan, and then you get married before the next Harmattan, you will not get to know that this guy doesn't bath in Harmattan. And then you get to Harmattan and you are surprised. So make sure you know the person for at least 1 year.
All right. Thank you, Pastor. And adding to what your submission right now, is there any possibility that someone could be in courtship and then go back to dating and then come back to courtship? I mean, perhaps you went into courtship without knowing each other very well, and then you guys decide that because we do not know each other very well, let's go back to dating and let's just be friends and steady ourselves for the future if we are compatible. Is there any possibility of
this
that?
happens, but I don't think it's the right premise. Now, let me do it this way. So I find you, and then I think you can be my wife. I propose to you, and then we start a relationship. The moment there is a backtrack, by the way, during that, we are still dating anyway. We can still say we are dating because we will still meet. Dating is simply a meeting, regular meeting, that's all. So now, we start a relationship, there's intention of marriage, and then we get to know that, no, we can't. So we get back to being just friends. That is a breakup. We've broken up. The moment we break up, it is dangerous to continue being close friends in the first place. But let's assume we have broken up, but we are still friends. And then while being friends, I get to know more about you and decide that, oh, you are good enough to be my wife. It is possible. That can happen. Now, should that happen, it happened because, I have, it's like you break up and then you come again. The tendency in such relationships is that if you have more of breakup, come again, breakup, come again, the inconsistency will become a consistent part of you. It can repeat itself in marriage. So that is why it's advisable once you break up, go. And the average young person goes through breakup about 3 to 4 times before getting married. These are average figures. Some do 10 times. Some do only 1. All right. So they are average figures, and I'm just using the average 3 to 4. So if you break up from 1, heal from 8, lift yourself up. If you have to improve yourself, you do, and then you start a new one. Life continues.
Thank you, Pastor. I want to add another question to that very
Sure.
question. I've heard people say that they wouldn't want others to know about their relationships because they are scared that when they break up with one person, their chances are ruined with other people. What do you think about that?
There are two extremes. When I say two extremes, it's like one far end and then the other far end. Let me explain. There are those who would even sew the same dress. They are in the same fellowship and they are just boyfriend and girlfriend. Let me use the word boyfriend and girlfriend. And they will sew the same dress, they will come, they will sit at the same place. When we close, they have their food, they eat, they don't give the rest of us. You know. And they are literally living like a couple. That's one extreme. And every day he's on his status, every time, you know, there is that. And there is the other extreme of they are there and they are not there. We go to church and one will sit here, the other will sit at the far end. You never see them together, yet they are together. These two extremes I think we should avoid and take a middle ground. There's nothing wrong with friends knowing, about your relationship. What you need to do is you should guard against making it too obvious, because a relationship, even if it is next week that you are getting married, can end in a breakup. So it is not the best to make it too obvious for the whole world to know, but it is also not the best to keep it, because maybe a friend knows something about this. Maybe that guy you are hiding is hiding Ajwa and hiding Ekuya and hide. So at least your close inner circle should be able to know.
Thank you, Pastor. There's one question from, the name isn't here, but the person says, I'm from Eastern region. I want to know if same age marriages do last for long.
Same age. By same age, I want to believe the person is talking about we are all born on the same day, 29th July, and it is our birthday and all that. Fine. Let's say that on the average, in most marriages, the man is older than the woman. There are few instances where the woman is older than the man. When it comes to age differences, it moves with compatibility, because if the difference is too wide, then you create a generation gap. It is like you having a discussion with your father. There are some things that he simply doesn't get. And you are like, this simple WhatsApp status you don't understand. You get my point. And that is how it may be with dating or getting married to someone who is way older. So it's better to have a close range of a space between 2 to 5 years. That is better than having but if it is exactly the same age, it is not bad either. Just that because of women's mental development is and physical is normally faster and higher than that of men. When the man is older than the woman, after some time they are at par, and that is better.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. There's another one here. It says, thank you, Dr. Josiah. My question is, should a man invite a lady who is in relationship with her to cook food for him, wash his clothes, and finally dress his bed?
Okay, there are a lot of opinions on this. If you are, let me put it, assuming the person is not in a relationship with you, would you be able to, for example, one Sunday go to him and cook for him, like a Christian brother? You are not in a relationship at all. Would you be able to do that for him? I think the answer is normally yes. I can do that for a Christian brother. I can send a Christian sister Momo without expecting anything in return. Okay. These are things that we do on humanitarian grounds. So, it is the same thing in a relationship. If I cook for you, I am doing so because I probably cook better. I do better in cooking, so when I cook for you, it is not bad. I am not doing it because we are in a relationship. But the moment it becomes like I'm doing it like a duty, I have handled a case where because he didn't go to do it one weekend, he was angry. It is not a duty. It is adoye. It is humanitarian, role that she is playing. All right. And of course, I added sending Momo, buying credit, paying school fees. These are things that happen in relationships. But anything you do for your partner in the relationship, you are doing it as a good Samaritan, being nice. Full stop. In case there's a breakup, don't go asking for what you did. Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor. This is from Ata Insia Matthias from Swami Kumasi. He says, please, I'm very grateful to your teachings this afternoon, but I just joined in the ending part, and I want to get your personal contact so you can take me through relationship and marriage studies.
He should keep listening. I would share my contact when we are ending this session.
Right. Thank you, Pastor.
That's fine.
This is from Sabat, NAAS UEW. He says, Pastor, God bless you for this practical lesson. I want to ask the following questions.
Following?
Yes.
All right.
What should be the time period for dating before you propose? I think it's referring to courtship before you propose.
It does, right.
And how do you keep in touch with the one person without proposal? How will the person be aware you like him or her even though you've not proposed?
Yes, I understand the question. Okay. You are finding it difficult to understand the question. I understand it. Time period. There's no time period. But you can't tell me you know her well enough after 1 week. You can't tell me you know him well enough after 6 months. Some people can say, oh, I know him within a shorter time. But if you are proposing marriage, then you should have answered this question I'm about to ask. Okay. If you are proposing marriage, then you should have answered the question, as far as I know him, or as far as I know her, can I live with him or her for the rest of my life with what I know already? If the answer is yes, then go ahead. But you see that the problem is that you may have asked this question at a time that you still haven't known him well enough. So I will give you some pointers. You should have experienced his anger. I'm not saying go and test him, but you should have experienced his anger. You should have experienced her anger, sorrow moment, happy moment. These are very critical things. Emotions. How does a person in touch? So you are friends. In fact, there are times that you are friends with the person and the person is having another relationship. You are aware. And that's why when in the presentation I mentioned that don't become friends with the person with any personal gains in mind. And I mentioned in your first question, I mentioned that you can be someone's friend forever without anything happening. But the moment you answer the question I asked, for example, you are friends, you've been together, you attend AY, you do this, you do that together, you will get to know about the person's relationship status. You will get to know the person's principles, the person's plans, the person's everything. And you would get to know also that if I am with this person, if I live with this person for the rest of my life, it is possible. The moment you come to that realization, don't keep waiting and saying that, oh, I said you should know the person for 2 years. So you are waiting for 2 years. Someone will carry go. All right. So what you need to focus on, all right, is knowing each other. Just be friends. I know somebody who was friends with this lady for 6 years. Mm-hmm. For 6 years, they were friends. He knew about her relationship. She knew about his relationship. And, they could even advise each other on their relationships. One would end the relationship, go for another, another would end, go for, and they were still friends. Eventually, they got married, and now they have 2 daughters. The man is me.
Wow.
Exactly. So just build on friendship, and eventually you would find somebody who can be okay with you.
Right. Thanks, Doctor, for that. There's one from Prince Baswa. He says, we are grateful for the lesson given to us this afternoon. God bless you, Doctor. My questions are, is it advisable to be spending on a guy or lady you are dating?
I think I already answered that. I mentioned that, yes, spend. Because you can't watch, you can't watch someone you say you love. She's hungry. And she needs 20 cedi. Can't you send 20 cedi more? You say you love her. You can do that. But when you do that, see it as adoye. You are doing humanitarian. Someone is hungry and you've given the person food. Full stop. This is someone you love, a guy you say you love, and you can't go and cook for him when he needs food. Go ahead, do it. But you are not doing it as a duty. So spend on each other, but in Christian love, on humanitarian grounds, not as a means of anything. I don't know if, so I'm just reiterating that fact. Okay.
There's a follow-up question. It says, when you enter the courtship stage, can you quit if you don't want to continue? Can a partner seek legal action for being rejected?
Yes, a partner can seek legal action. In fact, there's a law on wasting the person's time. Okay. Yeah, but I don't want to go into issues of law. If your marriage is tomorrow, and you realize that there is one trait, character trait in him that you know you can't live with, walk out. It is better to break an engagement than to go for a divorce or to enter a marriage in which you will not be happy. And I am paraphrasing from Ellen White. A broken engagement is better than divorce. Okay. So you can, if you have a good reason to. You don't do so because you found another one. You do so because you have a good reason. Okay,
there's a follow-up question to what the person just asked. Yeah, it says, what if you have committed adultery with her, but you want to marry and do things right?
Okay.
Can you still leave the person?
As in, you have been engaged with the person sexually. Yes, can you still leave? There are people who even get pregnant. And some people will say, oh, she's pregnant, therefore I have to marry her. Or he has impregnated me, therefore he has to marry me. Meanwhile, there is a trait that the two of you, it can't connect. You don't click. It doesn't work out well. In that instance, there is no reason to say because there has been, a sexual intercourse or there's pregnancy, you should by all means marry. Of course, I know people quote an Old Testament, a law on but the law is very, very, it's civil and it is very specific. If a man sleeps with a virgin and, there's a whole lot. I don't want to go into the exegesis of that text. But my point is that no matter what has happened, I'm not encouraging that you do that anyway, but no matter what had happened, if you have a reason for which you cannot continue in the relationship, or something, and that's why I asked the question, would I be able to accept this person the way he is, the way she is in marriage and live with that negative trait forever? If the answer is no, and your marriage is tomorrow, you can decide that I'm ending it.
Thank you, Pastor. There's another one here from Owusua. She says, good afternoon, Doctor. God bless you so much for the presentation. Does academic qualification matter in marriage? Let's say the lady is, or maybe the lady receives above the man. Does it matter in relationships?
Yes and no. Marriage? I seem to be giving a lot of yes and no answers. Yes, reason is that marriage has nothing to do with education. All right. A professor who can marry, I'm not looking down on a JSS leaver, but if you have a PhD, it is possible for you to marry a JSS leaver if the two of you are able to complement each other. That is possible. However, the problem you are likely to have would be issues of communication. For example, you see, because of what education does to us is that it gives us a certain level of thinking, a certain level of thought. For that reason, someone who has not been through that level will not be able to communicate with you, to reason with you on certain lines. And I would always use the example, assuming you are trying to show something to your grandfather on the phone. It's more difficult to teach your grandfather how to do snap than to teach somebody who has been snapping. Yeah. You get it? So when the educational levels are far apart from each other, it is difficult to understand each other. And there's problem with communication. When I'm talking about, campus life, hostel, this and that, the person doesn't have that experience, and it makes communication difficult. But there is nothing wrong with marrying people that we are far apart with each other. So you understand my yes and no?
Yes.
All right.
But I have a follow-up question to that. What if the guy in question isn't comfortable with your pay? You know, people feel, especially guys feel that when
threatened.
ladies, yes.
Okay, so assuming the lady
the
is higher in education, the person feels threatened. The person has a problem already. You see, I talked about self-worth. You don't need education. You don't need money. You don't need any of those to build, to realize that you are important. I mean, despite the person's education, the person chose to marry you. So what is your problem? Of course, we can also talk about certain extremes that the one who has a higher education may go. Because that person may actually make it seem as though, because I'm higher than you, I will not respect you, I will not... The moment those issues come, then it becomes a problem. But it is not a good idea to feel threatened by the progress of your partner. I talked about oneness. If your partner progresses to a high level, you share the glory because you are one. And you should push the person. And you should also strive to build yourself if you have the capacity. But if you don't have the capacity to build yourself in the area, for example, education, you are a carpenter and you marry somebody who is a university professor. Build yourself in your carpentry and become top-notch carpenter. So that she would also become a top-notch university professor. You are two top-notch guys, two top-notch people in the marriage, and that is great. I don't know if this
yeah,
all right.
Yeah. I think we'll take our last question. It says, what I've realized, this is from Andrew Naski University, what I've realized is that we the men try our possible best to be friends and know the ladies, that's the Adventist ladies, very well. Yet still they are not accepting to go on a date with us. What do we do?
Okay, well, I don't know if it is a statement of fact or only, maybe it happens only in Naski University. Apologies to the K University guys. But then, this is the point. The question would be, why is the lady refusing to be with you? There is probably something with you that she doesn't like. So we should also work on some of these things. I'm not saying if she likes rogue guys, it means that you should be a rogue guy.
Okay.
What you need to do is that, you see, normally we say opposites attract. But in these, in issues of principle, likes attract. So that I like dressing nicely. So a lady who likes guys who dress nicely is likely to want to get close to me. But I can't wear my baggy trousers and my oversized shirt and go for a lady who likes, fashionable dresses. In other words, what it means is that the two of us, we don't have principles that click. So, go for people that you share similar principles with. Because that lady goes for some other guys. What is in those guys that she goes for them? And if what is in those guys is something bad, something against your principle, it doesn't mean you should lower your standards for her. What it means is that the two of you will not click.
Right. Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah.
And so you should never lower your standard for anyone. Your principles, you should stay tuned or stay stuck to your principles.
Unless you can decide to accept the person for that.
Okay.
So, for example, this person likes, let me use makeup. There are men who they don't like makeup. And this is a lady who likes makeup. And you don't like makeup. And she has everything that you want, except that she likes makeup. Ask yourself, can I come to accept the makeup? If the answer is yes, go ahead. So it's not like you've lowered your standards, rather you have decided to accept the person for who she is.
Okay. Thanks, Pastor. Please, do you have any last words for us, our viewers, and then all?
Yes, I think I promised someone I would share my contact. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on where else? On almost all the social media networks, on Twitter, on Instagram, I am there. But if you want to reach me on phone, it's
Pastor,
020.
the name on Facebook and then...
Okay, Facebook, it is Dr. Josiah B. Ando. YouTube is Dr. Josiah B. Ando. On Twitter, the handle is Pastor Joe 4. Pastor Joe 4. And on Instagram, it is Joe Ando, Joeandor. I think that is what I can share. My personal phone number is 020 89 059 12. 020 89 059 12. So you can reach me on that phone, either by call or by WhatsApp. In case you call and I don't answer, I will return your call. If you message and I don't see it, I will see it eventually. So don't worry. What I would tell you is that from my experience, a lot of marriages are in trouble because of the foundation. So don't make your marriage a statistic. Build it well. And building it well takes a lot of effort. If you build a stronger foundation, the rest of the building will be stronger. And that is my wish for you all. I want to attend more GNAAS weddings and you all eat your jollof and be happy, but we don't want to come eat your jollof and tomorrow you'll be fighting in the marriage. So keep the principles. Make sure you build and tell yourself, as for me, I'll be a wise builder and build a strong relationship to give you a better marriage. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. God bless you for making time with us today.
God bless you too.
So as for me, I'll be a wise builder. I believe we've been blessed with Pastor's words for us today. This is where our session ends for today. We would want to admonish you to stay tuned for our next sessions. And for our viewers who may have questions and contributions or any other thing they would want to ask us, you can reach Pastor on the contact he gave out or on any of his social media platforms that he has given to us. And you can also send your extra questions and contributions to the number 055-968-0066. God bless you. I'm Lydia Kwe, your host. Stay tuned for our other sections.
Hope Channel, changing lives.